Let's get going. All right, welcome everybody. So glad to have you this afternoon. My name is Dr. Roz, for those that don't know who I am. And I just felt, I woke up the other day and I said, I want to teach, I want to talk to people and make sure they understand what's happening. Because things can happen all around us and we just don't have a clue why it's happening. We just know it's happening and we're complaining about it happening, but not knowing that there's really something we can do about it. So that's what this is called. Why is my bill going up every month? I haven't changed anything. I got the same appliances. I got the same routines. I got the same house. I got the same apartment. But when I'm looking at my bill every month, electricity bill creeps just a little bit higher. And no, it is not your imagination. And you guess what? You're not by yourself. I don't care what city, what state you're in, it's happening all over the country. And guess what, guys? It has nothing to do with who's in office either. Americans across the country are feeling the exact same frustration. But there are some real reasons behind it. And that's what I want to cover today because energy prices are rising. That's the US average. Look, that chart is just going what? Up and away. And so even the average utility bills have increased. If any of us go back in our file cabinet and pull out some bills, we'll see that we're paying more. But I want to encourage you to let you know you're not by yourself. It's not just you, it's happening everywhere. Matter of fact, they're saying that Americans are now paying an average of $265 a month on utilities. That's up 12% from last year. $265 is the average monthly bill. Now, if you're paying less than that, you better throw up your hands and say, thank you, Jesus, really, right? But we're paying on an average per month a record high, no matter what that number is for you. And that's a 12% increase compared to previous years. And the current rates, the average family is spending over $130 more annually than just 1 year ago. So this isn't, it isn't a blip, it isn't a mistake. There are structural forces that are pushing our energy prices higher. And if we don't do anything about it, if we don't take any action for ourselves, we know that this trend is going to continue. So here it starts. Let's start here. Let's start with trying to understand our electric bill. How many of you ever looked at it and not just paid it? Most of us just look at the bottom line, the bottom dollar. I've had people tell me, well, I just pay it, whatever it is. Well, I get that. I get just paying it because what? You want your lights on. And who uses electricity? Everybody. But when you open your bill and it's just a bunch of numbers and you see the delivery charges and transmission fees and fuel adjustments, I mean, they'll charge you for not getting a paper bill, and then they'll charge you for getting a paper bill. And most of us have no idea what they're actually paying for. And here's the thing, confusion is costing you money. I have to give you a scripture. We're destroyed for the lack of knowledge. When you don't understand your bill, you can't challenge it, you can't optimize it, and you can't even make smarter choices. So let's kind of just break it down. I hope you brought your bills. That's a challenge for you. Energy supply charge. That's on there somewhere. It says energy supply charge. That's the actual electricity that you're consuming. And it's measured in kilowatts per hour. kWh. You see that on there. This is what most people think the whole bill is, but it's only part of it. As a matter of fact, a lot of companies advertise when you go shopping, I need to find the best price, who got the best kilowatts. A lot of people will advertise their rates based on this. But I'm going to say it again, that's not the whole bill. Because they're not including, when they advertise that rate, they're not including the delivery or the distribution. All of us have a delivery charge. I don't care what city, what state you're in, where you come from, you've got a delivery charge from a company that you can't do nothing about. You have no control over it. They're going to charge you whatever they're going to charge you. And that's the cost to physically move the electricity from the power plant to your house through the wires and the infrastructure. You pay this whether you use power or not. So when you tell me, Dr. Ross, I'm not even at home, I don't understand why my bill is XYZ, because it's still moving electricity from the power plant to your house. And then they tack on taxes and they tack on fees, franchise fees, state, local fees, environmental surcharges. I mean, I think they just make up names. I'm just saying, right? I'm just a realist. These line items, they add up fast and are rarely explained on the bill itself. They're just there. So the hidden truth is most people don't understand their bill. So let's look at the utilities and break them down again, because really the more confusing the bill looks, the less likely you are to question it. The average electricity bill contains about 5 to 9 separate line items, and most people only look at the total. And I'm going to be the first to tell you that's a costly mistake. You've got energy supply. Now, most of the time, your energy supply is about 45% of the total cost. But I just saw a bill just the other day that the energy supply was around 35% of the bill, and the delivery charge was like 55% of the bill. In other words, the delivery charge was higher than the energy supply. See, there's something wrong with that picture. But again, there's nothing you can do about the delivery supply, but you can understand it, and then you can begin to do your own research so that you can have something that has an energy supply that's really low. You want that energy supply as low as it possibly can be, because delivery, taxes, and fees. So what do we have to do? Understand. Old folks used to say, we'll understand it better by and by. Now is the by and by. Understanding which portion of your bill is within your control and which isn't. That's the first step toward meaningful savings. Please know, this that I'm presenting to you is all about you having savings. I want you to save on the next electricity bill that you get, the next cycle that you get, just starting here with some understanding. This is exactly where smarter energy solutions can make an immediate difference, because there are some smarter differences. So let's talk about what's driving this increase. Why is it happening? Are they just trying to just mess with you? There are 4 powerful forces that are colliding with each other to push our electricity demand and prices to record levels. And none of them are slowing down. Please believe me, nothing's fixing to change. It's fixing to keep on happening. And that's why we've got to get an understanding. The first thing I want to talk about is AI data centers. Anybody know anything about AI? You're using it. Yeah, you are. Whether you say you're using it or not. If you ever talk to Siri, or if you ever talk to Alexa, or if you ever do a Google search, any of that, you're using AI. A single large AI data center can consume as much electricity as 80,000 homes. Hundreds of new facilities are coming online every single year. Electric vehicles. Somebody here has got an electric vehicle in your garage, or you've been thinking about it. And I'm not saying you should not get an electric vehicle, but just understand this. The EV adoption is accelerating, and millions of cars are charging overnight, adding a massive new daily load that the grid wasn't designed to handle. Because understand this, we got AI data centers, we got electric vehicles, we're in 2026, but when's the last time the power plant changed? The power plant is hundreds of years old, and they haven't developed anything new in the power plants. They haven't changed anything. They haven't upgraded anything. But now we got all this other stuff that's happening, making our life easier. Don't misunderstand me. Fantastic. Love AI. Love the electric vehicles. Right now, you probably want one so you don't have to pay the gas prices. And then we got smart homes and smart devices. Who doesn't have this right here? Smartphone, right? Devices, iPads, all kind of devices, thermostats, always on, smart thermostats, streaming with streaming devices, home security systems, appliances, refrigerators that you can talk to. All this kind of stuff. Cars that you can push a button and it starts before you get out there, warms your car up, cools your car off, all of that. Invisible electricity drainage around the clock. And then the population and the grid lag. More people, more homes, more demand. I was looking at a post this today with somebody who said they were moving to Houston. And I looked at all the negative comments people were getting them about moving to Houston. And they were talking about the traffic. They say we got too many people. We already filled up. Don't show up. Don't come to Houston. Go somewhere else. And I made a comment and I said, welcome to Houston. I'm a native Houstonian. Welcome to Houston. And I gave them a few tips. But everybody was speaking negative because population has increased. But electrical infrastructure takes decades to expand, as well as a whole lot of money that they're not ready to spend. So there's a gap between the need and capacity, and that gap is getting wider and wider and wider. Data centers are hiking electricity costs in many of the states. Matter of fact, look at this. I just did my research. California has 319 data centers currently. Chicago, 165. Texas, 395. Virginia, 643 data centers. OMG. So they're coming for us. And I don't want it to sound like a bad thing because we need these data centers if we're going to move into the next century. But we as homeowners and living wherever you live in an apartment or a townhome or a mobile home, if we don't understand what's happening before it happens, we're going to be the ones that's not benefiting because we haven't put something in place. Because it's not being the data centers aren't being built randomly. They're being built where the power is. And that means right next to you. Every new data center that goes up in your region is a direct competitor for the same electricity you use to run your home or your business. So we're using more electricity than ever before, but the grid hasn't caught up. So it's putting a stress on the grid. And the grid capacity, you know what the grid is, that when all the poles up in the air and you see all the lines going across, there's a power plant that all that comes from, and that's the grid. The grid capacity hasn't kept pace with the demand. So sometimes there are peak moments. A peak moment is when everybody's running their electricity or running their air conditioning or running their heater. Everybody's doing because of the hot. I live in Texas. When it's hot, everybody's running the air conditioning, and they'll make announcements asking us not to at certain times. And if you don't, they'll do these things where they'll cut it off. You think it's something wrong with the transformer. Nope. They just cut your block off for a minute, for 3 hours or so, because the system is straining. And when the system strains, the prices surge, and consumers pay the price through higher rates and demand charges. When you see this chart shows grid utilization throughout the year. The red spikes in the summer, that's when the grid hits its limit and when your rates are at their highest. The dashed line going across the top represents the danger threshold. And so the grid has to do something for that not to happen. But it also affects us in our home. So why does all this matter? Depending on where you live determines how much support you have with the grid. If you're in the Western interconnection, in all those states, you probably recognize your state, the Eastern and the Western. The grid it can pull power from the neighbor. So when one state has a problem, another state can support that state. And that's a beautiful thing because you can pull power from your neighbors and you've got more stability than even when those spikes take place. But I live in Texas. Do you see any other state connected with us? No. Texas our grid is ERCOT, who's in control. And we've got to balance our supply and demand internally. No help from nobody. I don't know why we think we want to go solo. More price spikes and more need for conservation and smart technology. But everybody needs this technology. Everybody's needing help because as I showed you in some of the eastern states, That's where they're building a lot of the data centers on that east coastline. So that means every one of us is going to be affected by this. So why are they moving into your backyard? The AI boom, cloud computing, streaming services, all this has triggered a historic surge in data center construction. And the tech giants aren't choosing locations based on the scenery, they're following the grid. And considering how much the East and the West has the ability to have more help, they're like, okay, let's go put some data centers up on the East Coast. Let's go to the West Coast. Wherever there's available power infrastructure, that's where they plant their flag. They're following the power. There's a massive scale demand, and your grid is their priority. So data centers require massive, uninterrupted electricity. I'm sorry, it does not just come on in the daytime, shut off at night. No, it's working 24/7. And they're scouting out these regions with existing grid capacity and set up wherever the supply can handle their load. A single large data center can consume as much as 50,000 homes. And when several are built in the same region, the pressure on the local grid infrastructure becomes enormous, and that's fast. So utilities often give preferential contracts to industrial customers. And then that leaves the homeowners and the small business owners absorbing the costs of grid upgrades through higher rates and less reliable services. So what does this mean for your electricity bill? The competition you didn't sign up for. You didn't sign up for this. When the demand on the local grid spikes and stays high, utilities respond in one way. They raise rates. You didn't ask to compete with a 1,000,000 square foot server farm, but here we are. Grid upgrades, transmission lines, new substations all cost money. And those costs get passed directly to the ratepayers like you, like I. Homeowners and small businesses are the most vulnerable. Unlike large industrial users, you don't have the leverage to negotiate special rate structures or lock in long-term contracts with your utility. And that's why I've been seeing on the news so many communities, they're raising all kind of hell. They're fussing and fighting as much as they can when they hear about a data center opening up in their neighborhood because they know what's fixing to happen. There's getting ready to be a grid strain increase. They're getting ready to be utilities that request rate hikes to fund those upgrades. And you and I will pay more, period. Residential and small commercial customers, we're the ones absorbing the cost with little to no say in the matter. But here's the good news. I've given you a whole lot of bad news per se, right? That affects us. But I'm not going to close with bad news. I'm going to give you some good news. You're not powerless. But you need to act. See, the best defense against rising electricity is to take control of how you generate and use your power. Waiting for utilities, waiting for the politicians to solve it, that's not it. That's not the answer, and that's not the strategy. But a smart homeowner and a small business owner can do the right thing and help themselves. One of the things that we can do is generate our own power. That's what solar panels does. That's what community solar farms do. And we'll talk a little bit more about what those are in case you don't know. But they let you produce electricity independently of the grid. And so when the data centers drive up the demand and the rates, your panels keep producing at zero fuel costs because it's from the sun, that thing that God made, right? And then when you pair that with battery storage, you're protected from the outages as well. Another thing is that you can start storing what you generate. That requires a battery system. Battery systems like home energy storage let you hold on to the power you generate and use it when the grid rates go up and the spikes hit. All of a sudden, you've got power in your battery to supply for your home that you don't have to benefit or be subject to those rates spiking and you being a recipient of it. So in the typical evenings and peak demand periods when data centers are pushing usage to the limit, your battery is storing for your home. And you can get smarter about your usage using smart technology. Yes, there is now smart technology available, smart energy monitoring tools to help you even identify that waste and shift those heavy loads to the off-peak hours. Now, do we understand how it works? No, I doubt it, unless you just are an engineer or somebody. But we don't really have to understand it if it's working. If we get smart energy taking place in our homes, small changes in consumption habits backed by real data can meaningfully reduce your monthly bill even before you even add any solar. So all of these are ways that we can not be powerless, but powerful. The bottom line is this is your electricity too. So since we know the data centers aren't slowing down, the AI revolution is just getting started, these facilities will keep on multiplying, whatever the grid can support them. That means your rates will keep climbing unless you take steps to insulate yourself. So homeowners, listen, get a quote. Find out about solar, find out about community solar. I like community solar better than I like solar panels because everybody don't want them panels on their roof. But I love community solar. I love battery storage, that you can lock in these incentives before federal and state programs change. And here's the clicker. You may be in a state that they've already received the funding for this so that you can get all of this stuff for free. Yes, you can get the solar panels, you can get not the solar panels on the roof, but you can get the community solar for absolutely free because it's a state-funded program. It's likely that you may live in a state, and I'll show you what states that I know of that absolutely have this available to you. If you're a small business, your energy costs are a line item you actually control. Commercial solar demand management tools can meaningfully reduce overhead while your competitors keep paying the full rate. Your community, even go to the Public Utility Commission hearings. Push them. Some of them have, like I said, some of these states have already gotten the funding and they just need to flip the switch and say, we're ready for it. We're ready for the community solar. We're ready for other things like autosave, things that are giving us some fixed rates. We need to propagate this thing and make a demand for it. The ratepayer advocacy does work, but only when the ratepayers is like you and I show up. So don't wait. That's what I want you from this message. Don't wait for the next bill to arrive as a surprise. Every month you delay is a month you're paying for someone else's servers. So there's got to be a better way. You felt at that moment when you look at your bill and you think, oh my God, there has to be a smarter solution than just paying more and hoping for the best. You're right. The old model of just being a passive consumer, just waiting to see what your utility charges are going to be. No. That's broken, guys. Technology is now powerful enough to work for you instead of against you. The question is, do you know about it? Are you using it? What if you could lock in a better rate? What if you could optimize when you use power and actually take control of your energy costs starting today? What if you didn't have to worry about this? You shouldn't have to recognize and reorganize your entire life around your electricity bill. I know people that you got to decide, am I going to pay the light bill or am I going to buy some groceries? You shouldn't have to choose between comfort and affordability. We got to cut everything off because we can't pay the light bill. I've talked to pastors in churches that they had to shut down the church because they couldn't pay the light bill. And it wasn't the light bill, it wasn't the energy charge, it was the delivery charge was higher. That it was a small church, one of those that just met, twice a month and they go somewhere else another 2 months and they couldn't even afford to pay the light bill. The good news, you don't have to. Smart technology, smarter energy options, they're out there. And the right partner can change everything starting right now. And I'm telling you, if you're here and you're watching this, somebody invited you to take a look at this to educate you first and to make you aware that they probably are aware of some of these choices that you need to find out. Girl, man, tell me, what do I need to do? Because this shift is happening for households across the country. The only question is whether you're going to be a part of it, in front of it, or behind it. Understand it, then optimize it, and then take control. Because your advantage is that the smarter energy gives you real bona fide savings. And this isn't about a sacrifice. It's about using the right tools and the right partner to stop overpaying. Too many people are afraid because they feel like they go back in their past when somebody else screwed them, when somebody else lied to them. But let me tell you, there are things that are available. There's what's called all-in rate clarity. We talked about the bill, looking at that bill with all these mystery lines. You got to know exactly what you're paying. Energy, delivery, and fees rolled into one clear, predictable number. We have companies that are available that give you that all-in rate. When they say this is what you're paying, it includes all of that and no surprises. Then there's smart thermostat optimization, intelligent scheduling, automatically shifting your energy to the lowest cost to prevent those spikes from happening before they're happening. Yes, yes, yes. You hear what I'm saying? It can actually detect the spike before it happens. And then there's community solar savings. I talk about the solar farms. That's without installing a panel. Lower your bill by subscribing and getting that panel in a farm that may not even be in your neighborhood, may be across the way, but you're still going to benefit from it because they subscribe you to a panel, depending on the size of your house, 1 or 2 panels, and then battery and grid participation. How about the ability to store energy when it's cheap at nighttime? Yeah, they tell y'all nighttime, you get nighttime free on your bill. No. Nighttime is not the right time, guys. That's when electricity is cheap. Your refrigerator runs in the daytime. So you need the ability to store energy when it's cheap, use it when the rates are high, or get paid for sending it back to the grid during those peak demands. We have a company that many of us know about that you can learn about by making sure you ask the person that invited you, because no other company offers auto-save, electricity rate plans, smart thermostats, coming soon a home battery program, and community solar. Everything in one place to save you money. And absolutely doesn't cost you a dime because somebody's trying to do it right. Now, in the next few minutes, I'm going to go over each of these and make sure you understand so you can hurry up and get signed up with any of these things that are in your particular state. Now, everything is not in every state. So you got to figure out and find out which one of these services is in my state. Is it community solar? Community solar is a state-sponsored clean energy program delivering up to 20 years of savings for residential and small commercial customers. It looks like a solar farm. No, not the panels on the roof. That's called rooftop solar. I'm not talking about that because you got to have a certain credit score. It may cost, you got to pay for the panels. Your roof got to be a certain kind of way. You may have to get a whole new roof done and the shape may not be right. You might have too many trees on the roof and then you got to be a homeowner. That's not what I'm talking about. Community solar, as I showed you, is the field. But the same principle happens. The sun hits the panels, it sends the power to the grid sends it to your home, and on your bill, you see discount credits, reducing the cost of your bill. Anywhere from 5 to 25%. And here's the beauty of this. It's guaranteed because it's a state-sponsored program in many states. Guaranteed savings. You hear me say that word guaranteed? I don't say that loosely because you've never been able to hear anybody say that. Even when somebody burnt you in the past, they never said guaranteed. They said we got competitive rates. That's what they said. But now we can say guaranteed savings for up to 20 years. The rooftop not required. It's free to enroll. It does not cost you anything. And you can cancel anytime. So if you say, well, it just didn't work, cancel. And even if you rent, if you lease, if you live in an apartment, you can qualify. Here's an actual bill. This person had community solar with Think Energy, and they received $115.57 credit on their bill to reduce their bill. Absolutely amazing. Here's another person. They didn't use much water. I don't know if this was a closet or what. They only used 118 kilowatts. That's a small place. But they still got an $11.21 credit on their bill. Now, if you say that ain't much, I've got an address to give you. Multiply that times 12 and send me the check. Because in my book, savings is savings. Now, in other states, we've got what we call the Think Smart technology. It's proton technology that connects to your thermostat. And then it gives you power efficiency, and you get $10 extra credit on your bill month after month after month after month. I'm in Texas, and I've got this here, but we got this in 6 other states as well.
At Think Energy, we've built a way to lower your energy bill and keep your home comfortable, and you'll barely have to lift a finger. Now live in Texas, Think Smart is an innovative technology designed to save you money on autopilot. All you need is 5 minutes to connect your Wi-Fi-enabled Ecobee, Honeywell, or Resideo thermostat, and we'll drive it from there. Think Smart optimizes your energy usage by making small adjustments, just a few degrees, to keep you comfortable and lower your energy bills. And you can always override it for complete control. Once connected, you'll receive $10 in monthly bill credits for as long as the devices remain connected. Savings that add up. Ready to save effortlessly? Join the community of energy-savvy customers lowering their bills and enjoying total comfort. To learn more, contact your local Think Plus independent energy advisor. It's time to think smart with Think Energy.
Absolutely amazing. It's proton technology, guys. This is where the future is. It's the brain of the system. And the technology connects directly to your smart thermostat. It learns the usage patterns. It optimizes when your energy is used. It coordinates with autosave and the battery. And it helps monitor your battery charge, your discharge, and your efficiency if you have the battery as well. But it keeps those spikes from hitting your home. This technology is like cruise control for your energy, constantly adjusting so you don't waste power or money. It's a small device, but it's a big role. Most people think that the thermostat only purpose is to control your temperature. But when you connect it to this technology, 2026 is where we're here. It acts as a sensor for your entire system. And it feeds real-time data into the proton technology to help decide when to store the energy, when to use the energy, when to sell it back, when to miss the spikes that are coming in, and when to improve your comfort and your efficiency. You can always override it, but the thermostat isn't just for comfort. It's part of the power strategy if you have it. Not if you just have a smart thermostat, but you've got to have the proton technology connected to it. And guess what? This company, Think Energy, I'm telling you, it's the only company that has it at this point because it's proprietary technology. Here's a sample of a bill. This was a single mother with 2 kids. They told her, you get night times free. I told you, everything don't happen at nighttime. That's when electricity is cheap anyway. She didn't know how to read all this stuff. She was paying 26.7 kilowatts. That's highway robbery. And the nighttime usage is when electricity is already low. But when we looked at her bill, I had a business partner that had this real bill. They were able to save her $188.34 if she got that proton technology with the smart thermostat. And even if she didn't have a smart thermostat, we still could save her $172.18. A third service that's in many states like Illinois, Ohio, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware, and DC is what we call autosave. Now, a lot of these states have been burnt. I hear that all the time. But let me talk to you quickly about autosave.
Welcome to autosave, the easiest way to save money on electricity automatically. No more shopping around, no fees, no risk. Just guaranteed savings anytime Think Energy is your supplier. Everyone uses energy differently, yet most people pay the same price. We believe you should be rewarded for being a smart energy user. With AutoSave, your Think Energy rate is personalized just for you. Here's how it works. You sign up for AutoSave. We review your personalized Think Energy rate offer every month. If your personalized rate offer can beat the utility's price to compare, we switch you. If not, you're served by the utility. We look for savings every month so you don't have to. And as you can see, over time, your savings can really add up. If there's an opportunity to save with Think Energy, it'll happen, all upside, with the peace of mind of the utility's standard rate as your safety net. Simple, risk-free, and automatic. And you'll always know what's happening. We actively monitor your savings potential and notify you if your energy supply changes. Still the same utility, still the same bill. Just guaranteed savings anytime Think Energy is your supplier, with no interruption to your service. AutoSave is all upside, and you'll have peace of mind knowing that you'll never pay more than your utility's standard rate. That's AutoSave.
Now, people think AutoSave must be too good to be true, but it's not too good to be true. We promise you that you will get guaranteed savings. We're not asking you to leave your utility company, whoever you're with. You're with PGE, you're with ComEd, whoever you're already with, you stay with them. And we monitor that savings. We monitor who's going to be the lowest, them or us. And when we are the savings, you get our savings. When they're the savings, you get it from them. And that happens month to month because it's based on your usage. It's not based on a kilowatt number. You're guaranteed to never pay more than the utility. And then there are no renewals because you don't have to worry about renewing because you're always going to get the lowest of the two. So you just set it, forget it, sign up once, let the monitoring do the work. And if for any reason you say, well, I just don't think it worked for me, cancel anytime, and there are no fees to cancel. Here's how it works. You get an email and it says, hey, great news. AutoSave found you a lower rate with Think Energy. We've initiated the enrollment process on your behalf. You never see any flickering. You don't know anything that's taking place. You just get an email and you look at your bill and you get savings. Then the next month, maybe your usage is better and your utility has the best rate. So guess what? We switch you back to your utility. And we send you an email saying, good news, AutoSave is doing the work. We've checked your rates and right now your utility is offering a better rate than Think Energy. Who does that? Most companies, they just keep you with them and they don't care if you have the best rate or not. And then we've got a battery program that's coming forth. It's starting in Texas. It's actually a pilot program that's moving in other states right now. Matter of fact, every state that we have the AutoSave is eventually going to have the battery program. But check it out.
Every summer we see it. Record heat, record energy demand, and the same story on repeat. Regular outages, soaring prices, a grid pushed to the breaking point.
The Earth is still hot. And so is the demand for electricity.
More energy is better than less energy.
With the rise of AI technology, demand on power plants is increasing.
Here's the thing. The grid we all depend on was built more than 100 years ago, for a time when electricity flowed one way, from a few big power plants to every home and business. But that world has changed. Today, millions of devices draw power every second. Demand for electricity keeps growing, but the grid hasn't kept pace. And it's not steady. Some hours we have plenty of power, others we're short. That's why electricity now costs different amounts at different times of day. When demand peaks, energy gets expensive. And when we need less energy, it's cheap. And this means consumers have to work harder and pay more for less reliable energy. Until now. A quiet revolution has started. Home batteries can now store energy when it's cheap or abundant, and use or even sell it back when it's needed most. Link thousands of those batteries together with smart software, and you get something entirely new called a virtual power plant. Instead of waiting for a distant generator to fire up, these connected devices can instantly feed energy back into the grid. The grid pays providers for this support. Those earnings can be shared with customers, lowering costs for the homeowners whose batteries made it possible. For consumers, that means significantly lower costs, predictable rates, and backup power when the grid fails, along with a direct role in building a cleaner, more resilient energy system. We are reshaping how electricity works as we're preparing to bring this idea to scale.
Think Plus will be partnering with a next-generation virtual power plant, connecting homes, batteries, and people into one intelligent energy network.
Our consumers will pay much less for even more reliable energy, with backup power for their homes. And when enough homes join, the grid gets stronger and energy becomes something we all share. This is the power of connection.
Coming soon from Think Plus.
Now, this is getting ready to happen all over the place, not only just in Texas, but you're going to be able to save on electricity, get a free backup power for your home, and it's no cost to install. Every single one of these services doesn't cost you, the consumer, you, the homeowner, doesn't cost you anything, because we've partnered with a battery partner called EcoFlow, who is a trusted brand with more than 3 million batteries already being sold in the United States. They're already trusted by Costco and Lowe's and Amazon, REI, Home Depot, and Sam's Club. Matter of fact, in 2025, they were named Best Inventions by Time Magazine. And in Texas, plus 6 other states, the same states that I told you about the autosave, all of these batteries are coming in that direction. But what you've got to have first is the electricity side. See, the battery is not going to be a luxury. People are used to batteries now because they think, with a solar on my roof, I get a battery. No, this is not with the solar on the roof. This is without the solar on the roof. And the battery stores when electricity is cheap, usually at night, automatically fills up from the utility, charges when prices are lowest, uses that stored power when the prices rise, and that's part of how the virtual power plant is going to work. This is the stages that we're moving towards. Energy is going to be done a different way than what we're accustomed to, and this is how most customers will use this system when they first install it: grid charging and a smart discharge. Now, the question that I always get asked is, how in the world can a $20,000 to $30,000 Ocean Flow home battery be free to the consumer? I thought you'd never ask. The battery is extremely expensive, but you are not buying it. You are the host of it. We provide it for your home. It stays with that home. Because we've got partnerships and grid programs that pay for the equipment, the installation, and the maintenance, so it doesn't cost you anything. Now, why? Why would we do that? Because everybody, believes free ain't free. Why would we even do that? Because the grid pays for the program. You heard him say in the video, the grid is looking for people to help because they're not getting ready to go and build another power plant. So the grid desperately needs stored energy to stabilize the peak demand. So instead of building a new power plant, which costs billions, utilities pay companies like Think Energy for energy support. Think Energy doesn't make money from you. They make it from the grid. And so why do you need that smart thermostat? To ensure that the system works efficiently. Because now it monitors your home's usage, to store the power when demand is low, to monitor to reduce use during expensive hours, helps to maximize both your savings and the company's grid earnings. So it all works together. There's no guesswork. There's no pressure. That's why we want to do a free analysis of your current bill, so we can show you, based on your state, based on your zip code, what's available to you. So we do that free bill analysis. Somebody invited you, and they just want to say, hey, can you send me a copy of your bill? Let's see what's available. What's your zip code? And then we'll break it down line by line. Some states are easier than others to break it down. Other states, we got to dissect it and make sure that we can get you savings. So we review your current rate, identify which programs and solutions that you qualify. You may not qualify for everything. It depends on what state you're in. And then you get a clear savings estimate with no obligation. You decide if and when you want to move forward. The bottom line is, it takes about 15 minutes. We look at your energy options. the whole point is to help you save, because things are not going to change in the negative. It's going to go positive, higher and higher. But we want to put money back in your pocket, not in the utility company's pocket. I don't know where it is that folks just love their utility company like they must have married you or whatever. I don't know. But let's talk. Let me show you now the active service map. We've got a bunch of states that have the fixed rates only. Connecticut, Delaware, New Hampshire, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Texas. We've got a number of states that actually have the community solar farms and the autosave. Illinois, Maine, Massachusetts, New Jersey, New York, Rhode Island, and DC. We've got some states that just have the autosave, which is, I shouldn't say just have, because that's amazing, as you saw. Illinois, Ohio, DC, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Delaware. And then we have some states that have community solar, guaranteed savings in those states just because you get connected to a solar farm. Colorado, Maryland, Minnesota, and Virginia. And regardless of what state it is, if it's not your state that you see here, I bet you what, you know somebody. And so we hope that you will share the information with somebody else until your state opens up. We're moving all across the United States. And if you're watching this for the very first time, and if you were to see this and all of the states were gold, in the gold color, then you're too late to the party. See, if you're watching this for the first time while you see a bunch of blue states and some gold states and some green states and some white states, that's perfect timing, because we've got in position not only the services that we render, but we can even offer you, if you're looking for an additional stream of income, then ask the person that invited you, because this company, Think Energy, is the only company that has all four of these services: community solar, autosave, Think Smart, and coming soon, the virtual power plant with the free battery program. I hope this has been educational for you. I hope you've got a better understanding of this rat race that's taking place, because now is the time for us to begin to move forward and understand it better by and by.